The book, Indiana Baptist History, 1798 through 1908, written by William Taylor Stott, published in 1908, tells the stories of the First and Second Baptist churches to ever exist in Indiana, the first ordination of a Baptist preacher ever to take place in Indiana, and the ministry of a notable missionary to the American Indians who was associated with both of those two original Indiana Baptist churches. On November 22, 1798, on Owen Creek, just across the Ohio River from Kentucky, and east of modern-day Charlestown, Indiana, two couples, the Fislers and the Pettits, with their pastor Isaac Edwards, organized the Silver Creek Baptist Church with this written declaration: "We, the Church of Christ on Owens Creek, in the county of Knox and territory northwest of the Ohio River, in the Illinois Grant, was constituted as a church on the principles of the Baptist Confession of Faith adopted at Philadelphia in the year of our Lord 1765, being constituted by Brother Isaac Edwards. We have hereunto set our hands this day and date above written, John Fisler, Sophia Fisler, John Pettit, and Cattern Pettit." The church endured for about 30 years until 1829, when a majority of its members were led astray by false doctrine, and the church closed its doors. But during those 30 years, the Silver Creek Baptist Church faithfully won souls, baptized converts, and licensed men to preach, in an effort that Mr. Stott calls a heroic struggle of the church in the wilderness. From the church records, we learn that the church had its first business meeting on August 8, 1801. At these meetings, the congregation established church policies and matters regarding church membership, doctrine, and similar questions. The church records show that after 6 years, the church had completed the building of their first meeting house. On September 6, 1806, the church established a system for raising the money needed to cover church expenses. Each male member shall pay a proportionable part of church expenses according to their several abilities. On July 7, 1807, a 23-year-old married man named Isaac McCoy, who had moved there from Kentucky with his young wife, believed that God was calling him to preach, and he requested for the church to license him. The church authorized Isaac McCoy to preach in the bounds of the church. Then, on August 13, 1808, after having heard him preach for over a year, the church licensed Isaac McCoy to preach wherever God in his providence leads him. On January 26, 1817, the church voted to support the Baptist Board of Foreign Missions, the mission board that had been organized through the efforts of Luther Rice to support the Judsons in Burma. Sadly, just 12 years later, the Silver Creek Baptist Church disbanded as a result of the influence of Alexander Campbell's anti-missions movement. Today, a reconstructed brick chapel commemorates the First Baptist Church in Indiana history in the Silver Creek Baptist Church Cemetery on Brick Church Road in Charlestown Township, Indiana. In 1809, about 100 miles northwest of Charlestown, Indiana, the Second Baptist Church in Indiana's history was established. The Mariah Creek Baptist Church was established in present-day Vincennes, Indiana, across the Wabash River from Illinois. The church had 12 founding members, including the Allison, Polk, Lemon, Bruce, and Morris families. John Morris was a freed slave, and the love of the founding members of the church led them to include in their articles of faith this statement: "We believe that African slavery, as it exists in some part of the United States, is unjust in its origin, oppressive in its consequences, and inconsistent with the spirit of the gospel." The church refused to allow slave owners to be members of their congregation. The Mariah Creek Baptist Church called as its first pastor Isaac McCoy, the young man who had been licensed to preach by the Silver Creek Baptist Church just a year earlier. Mariah Creek ordained Isaac McCoy to be their pastor, which would be the first Baptist ordination in the history of Indiana. About 8 years later, the Baptist Board of Foreign Missions appointed Isaac McCoy to take the gospel to the frontier of Indiana in Illinois. He initially set out to reach the settlers, but he ultimately focused his efforts on the Indians in Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Missouri, and Kansas. And get this, Isaac McCoy would be the first man known to ever preach a gospel sermon in English in Chicago, preaching at Fort Dearborn on October 9th, 1825. So, the first man ever to be ordained a Baptist preacher in Indiana would become the first English-speaking person to preach in Chicago. In 1857, the Mariah Creek Baptist Church built a large brick building where the congregation would meet until it disbanded in 1947. Today, the building, called Mariah Creek Chapel, sits on the campus of Vincennes University. Christian, the history of the New Testament church is the story of soul-winning, church-planting pioneers. Stay the course.